What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Straight Facts YouTube channel. It's your boy Jimmy J, and we're tapped in with a familiar face. But y'all, it might have been a minute since y'all seen him because we haven't talked about football on the YouTube channel for a little bit. But my guy Matt Valdovinos, former writer for Pro Football Network, but now the Straight Facts football analyst and expert and NFL draft analyst. But we're here to talk some free agency and some NFL offseason. But Matt V, first of all, how you been, bro? It's been a minute since you tapped in with us. We're happy to see you, brother.
I've been good. It's always glad to be here. Always love. Yeah, once the draft kind of closed, it was pretty much, that was the cap on what was going on in the NFL offseason. Now it's just some lighter moving pieces. We got some stuff that's gone down that we'll talk about, but kind of that dead season for the NFL. I've been enjoying my summer. It's getting warm out there. I'm trying to get some color in. It's been a good time. Been able to hoop. It's been a really, really good summer. So I've been enjoying it, but I'm excited for this season to get back.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We was talking off camera about just like it's the dog days of the sports calendar.
Yeah.
All with the rest of them, but that's all you see. Sports talk, TV, and radio is getting hot takey. So I know that's why y'all come here for the Straight Facts. And we're going to pilot a recurring segment here on the YouTube channel. We're going to call this Matt V's Vision because I know you got the vision. I know you got the insight when it comes to the NFL. So I'm going to pose some scenarios to you, some real ones. And I just want to know from Matt V's vision, how are these things going to play out? How do you see this moving forward? It could be for the whole season. It could be for the start of the season, for whatever you want to do. How does Matt V see this playing out? And the first one, we got to start it out hot with the most relevant news, and that's Baker Mayfield finally getting out of Cleveland, finally getting his wish and being traded, albeit for a bag of peanuts, but getting traded for a conditional 5th-round pick to my divisional foe, the Carolina Panthers. So, Matt V, give me your vision. I got to know it. How does this Baker thing play out now that he's down in Carolina, man?
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. All they need left is Josh Rosen to kind of complete that 2018 Field, first-round quarterback trilogy.
Yeah.
But I think Baker kind of comes in as the immediate best quarterback. I don't think Sam Darnold has shown enough to even consider really making it an open quarterback competition. I think you really should just go in with the expectation that Baker's the starter. I'm not 100% sure if that's what Matt Rule is going to do, but Matt Rule is coaching for his job. He's expected to be, the most likely first coach to lose his job this year. That's kind of the expectation around the league. If that's me up in that spot, I'm not playing, that QB camp game. We'll see who comes out and then roll with whoever's the best. I'm picking my guy, committing to him, and hopefully he can go win me enough games to keep my job. I think Baker's that dude. I think there's going to be, a little bit of an adjustment period, but I think that Baker's still a better quarterback than people want to give him credit for. I think he played hurt last year. There's, he's a guy who can get you into that top 12 to 16 quarterback range, and, that's a good range to be in for the Panthers, who haven't had that since Cam. So I think Baker's going to come in, kind of cement himself as that starting quarterback. And even though I don't expect the Panthers to be in that NFC South race with the Bucs at all, I don't expect them to even be competing for a playoff spot. I think the defense is good enough that team should be right around 500, a little bit under. As long as Baker plays, well enough, he can keep the team afloat. I think they got weapons. The offensive line's improved a ton. They've invested a lot of draft capital in it lately. So I'm excited to see what the Panthers can do this year, especially with Baker kind of getting out of Cleveland, out of that situation, see what he can do for himself.
All right. So Baker's teammate has been on the hot seat a little bit because a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, when it first got reported that the Panthers might be interested in trading for him, one Robbie Anderson, one Robbie Anderson didn't like it, right? No, under the comment. So we've heard his explanation. He's just, being
defending
a
Sam
teammate
or whatever.
Sam Darnold. Yeah. And that's what he's supposed to say. Good job on his publicist and on his agent, because that's what he's supposed to say. Now, what's your vision about Baker entering that locker room? Because I'm sure Robbie Anderson doesn't just speak for himself when he says no like that. So Baker's now got to come in, take a starting job for a quarterback who's still there. They didn't trade him for Sam Darnold. He's still there. He's still in that quarterback room, in that locker room. How do you see him handling that new job and getting the respect of his teammates?
Yeah, and to be honest, like we said, shout out Robbie Anderson's publicist. I don't know how much that actually goes into loving Sam as opposed to not wanting Baker. Because I think, if we were talking about the Panthers getting a legitimate quarterback, like had they brought in Russell Wilson or anything like that, I doubt we would see Robbie Anderson being against it, especially as a receiver, catching balls from these guys. I really don't think that it's going to be too much. I can't imagine Sam Darnold had a great grip on that locker room. Both him and Baker have been known to be like persona guys. They're going to have their, tight close knit group on the team that really enjoys them, and he's probably going to get along with everyone, but he's going to have a little bit of an attitude, or maybe butts heads with some of the players as well. But I think Baker's a competitor. I really do. Whether or not you like the guy, I do think that he wants to win. I think he wants to compete. That's something you saw all the way at Oklahoma. It's something you saw in Cleveland in his rookie year, playing through the injury, right? This is a guy who's willing to sacrifice for the team. So I think it's a good pickup for the Panthers. I think it's better than what they had. And, Baker needed a new spot to be in. This works. It could definitely be worse for both sides.
Sometimes you just got to get out of a toxic environment, and Cleveland is not the cleanest place, both in the stadium and out of stadium. So maybe he just literally needs some fresh air. Browns versus Panthers, week 1. Who wins the game?
I think it could be the Panthers, to be honest. I think it's going to be the Panthers just off that storyline, and Deshaun Watson's not going to play, right? Like, that's like,
I can't think so.
I didn't know.
That's a whole nother situation, but you think he's out? He's
out for 6. No, I got to imagine he misses at least like 6 games, which, might not be enough, but that's
take it on the chin.
Right. The rumor right now is 4 to 6. Now, I guess I could see Watson appealing and then playing maybe the first couple games of the season and then serving out a smaller suspension. I guess that's plausible. But if I had to guess right now, I'd guess it's Jacoby Brissett versus Baker Mayfield week 1. And I'll take Baker.
Yeah, by default, right? You take Baker by default. All right, we got to move on because I got to see what else is in that little glass sphere of yours that you're seeing. And we're going to come back to the city of brotherly love because as much as I don't like to admit it sometimes, the Eagles had, to me, the best offseason in the NFL. And the biggest move that they made was going and trading for A.J. Brown from the Titans and bringing him to Philly as Jalen Brown would say.
Huge deal.
And a huge bag. As Jalen Brown as Jalen Hurts said, let's do it, kinfolk, like they're ready to go. So what's your vision in Philly? How does he come in Philly? How do they do? How does he help Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I think he's going to give Jalen a more physically gifted receiver at the point of attack. Jalen's going to be able to give him some balls that are going to be in a more contested situation than you can give guys like Devontae or literally anybody else on that roster besides Devontae. A.J. Brown's going to be able to eat up some of that underneath stuff, some of that, tight net, get under the linebacker, get just over the defensive line and turn some of that into yardage. I think that's going to be good for Jalen, just giving him someone that he can trust to just go make that play. Not that Devontae's not, that dude. I love Devontae, but when you get into that middle of the field, really, really tight window stuff, you don't necessarily want to be getting him the ball there just because his frame's so light that you're worried major contact could lose you one of your better offensive players. And so A.J. Brown, you don't have to worry about that because dude's like 230 pounds. Dude's the size of these linebackers. And so the linebackers have to make the business decision on whether or not they're going to go in for that hit because they might get as much punishment, if not more. And so I think that's going to be big for Jalen. I think I would curb the enthusiasm on some of the expectation. I've seen people throw out,
you got to talk to them Philly fans, man.
That's
you know how you got to talk to them Philly fans. Okay.
I've been seeing people throw out like 4,000, 4,100, 4,200 yards for Jalen Hurts this year and another 800 to 1,000 on the ground. That's just not going to happen. I really don't see. I see Jalen topping out at like 3,800 passing yards, maybe another. I could see him get 800, or I could even see a Jalen Hurts 1,000-yard rushing season. But I think if we do see a Jalen Hurts 1,000-yard rushing season, something probably went really wrong offensively.
Really?
Yeah.
Even with the revamped receiving core, because we're coming off a 3,100, 16 TD season. So you're saying that with
scrimmage,
AJ Brown, that you can't foresee another 900 yards in that.
No, I mean it's not just that. Like AJ Brown will accumulate more than that many yards, but he's also taking away from some of the guys who were on the field prior. Sure. Now he is an improvement on those players, absolutely, but Dallas Goedert's still going to get his right, and Devontae's still going to get his. I just don't think Jalen's going to rush for that huge pocket. If he does rush for that 1,000, that means that the passing game did not live up to what it was supposed to. Go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is what the Eagles do get is that big body receiver that they've been missing really since Alshon Jeffrey, right? And he's an even bigger frame than Alshon. So, question, let me give your vision again. Who does that help more, getting that type of go-get-it receiver? Does that help Devontae Smith to open the field a little bit more, or does that help A.J. Brown more, or Jalen Hurts more as a bigger frame and a bigger target to throw to?
I think it's just going to help Jalen more because anything that helps Devontae helps Jalen. When it comes down to it, anything you can do to make your quarterback's life easier is going to be the most important thing that you can do. Um, Anything that AJ Brown retracts from Devontae, the more one-on-ones he's creating for Devontae is a net positive for Devontae, but it's also a net positive for Jalen. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
having the big body guy doesn't necessarily always benefit Devontae, especially if we're talking production wise, right? Like I think that's one thing that not a lot of people are taking into consideration is that because the Eagles went out and got this dude in AJ Brown, this like certified number one, odds are we're not going to see a huge production jump from Devontae this year, right? Maybe we don't see him hit that 1,000-yard threshold that a lot were hoping for. And that's not a bad thing, right? If Jalen Hurts has a 3,800 passing yard, 800 rushing yard season, that's still a great season. That's 4,600 yards of scrimmage. They can be a 10-7 win team. They could be an 11-6 win team, win the NFC East. I just don't expect Jalen Hurts to have that huge balloon in passing production. I just don't expect the volume to be there from him.
No, I feel that. I feel that for sure. So you heard him, Eagles fans. Curb your enthusiasm. Start the
Just off the
theme music.
production.
Just off
Just
the
off the
production.
production.
All right, but how did the Eagles finish then? If we way too early prediction for how the Eagles finish.
I'll tell you what. I'll take them for first in the East right now because it can't be Dallas. And I'm not going to pick Washington right now. It's going to be one of Philadelphia or Washington to win the division. And I'll take the Eagles for right now.
Whoa, he said one or Philly of Washington. We gonna clip that.
You can't win back to back.
We go check tape when the start of the season comes because we need to expound on that. But you said you don't want to give it to Washington right now, but I'm gonna make you talk about Washington right now because your team got Philly's old quarterback and Carson Wentz, and he's Carson the Commander, commanding Washington's offense. So give me your vision about Carson Wentz's last shot at a starting job.
Probably if he blows this up, I can't imagine. Now, let's say he has a good season. I could see Washington flipping him, right? Like I wouldn't be super surprised if a team paid Washington for his, rights. Mm-hmm. But that's only if he has a good season in Washington this year and they decided that they wanted to go somewhere else. If he does not make it work in Washington and he has a poor season, I think you're absolutely right. I don't see another team willingly bringing him in to be their one and only starting quarterback. I could see a team bringing him in as competition, or if they're going to draft a rookie really high and don't have anyone else, maybe they want to bring in Carson just in case they don't want to get that rookie on the floor. But this is a big stop for Carson to kind of reprove himself as that, former MVP favorite, number 2 overall pick, elite quarterback that he was at one point. And even if he doesn't get there, just proving that he can be a team's consistent starting quarterback, because there were a lot of stretches where he was really good in Indianapolis last year. And then there were some really, really bad stretches. And so I do think that, like you said, this might be his last opportunity to get to be a starter somewhere. But with Washington, I think it's a huge move for them, because what a lot of people don't realize is as far as quarterback upgrade goes, besides Denver going from Drew Lock to Russell Wilson, there's really probably not. There's probably not a team that upgraded at that position more than Washington, and that's huge. That is a very important. That is, if there is any position to upgrade on in any sport, it is at the quarterback spot in football. Washington's got their number one. They paid their number one, right? Terry's going to be here for 3-4 more years. That's a guy that is going to work out really, really well with Carson Wentz, because Terry kind of did not have the opportunity to be a deep threat last year. Taylor Heinicke was really, really limited on what he could do. He could only throw the ball so far. He could only throw the ball so fast, and that really deterred a lot of Terry's production. I think this opens up a ceiling for Terry McLaurin that he hasn't had yet, just in terms of his on-field production. I think that you've got a lot of opportunity for some of these guys. Jahan Dotson, the rookie, when Logan Thomas comes back, Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, like they've got a really good opportunity to be productive.
Yeah, and listen to the names you rattled off. That's just on the offensive end. We didn't even talk about the defense, which is always formidable. And a lot of people are forgetting that Chase Young missed all of the season last year, getting injured in the very beginning of the season. You get a healthy Chase Young back who's going to be dynamic. Washington has been in this forever stage of they're just a quarterback away. Ever since RG3, it's like they're just a quarterback away. They're never a couple seasons where you've been a bad team, but you've never been a terrible team.
Yeah,
they're really just missing a quarterback. Hell, 2 years ago, you gave me a scare in a wild card game that I never want to relive.
Played that better than anybody. Played that better than anyone that year.
So you get what should be a serviceable quarterback. And I'll say this on the record, I've been on the record saying this. If Carson doesn't completely soil himself in Jacksonville week 18, not only does Indianapolis go to the postseason, there is none of this talk. Carson Wentz is still in Indianapolis. You're still
100%.
looking for a quarterback. Like, it was one game. Now, it's almost so bad that,
Such an
I can't.
awful,
I
literally
can't
convinced the owner to trade him.
to
But
trade him. I can't be mad at the
right,
Ursay family and Frank Reich for dumping him on the street, but it was all one game. 27-7 on 4,500 yards last season. Like, a lot of teams will take that, and if he brings that production to Washington, what's your vision on how Washington finishes?
well, the
If,
thing that
if you get that Carson Wentz, if you get a good Carson Wentz,
that is, to me, that's probably the best team in the East, because if we look at Washington 2 years ago, like we said, the year they played Tampa in the playoffs, they were playing a third place in the division schedule. Defense was like the second best statistically in the league. Offense was not great. Then we go to this past year, you're playing that first place in the division, right? You're playing the best teams in the NFC, and you're still surviving, right? They were in the wild card race till a couple of weeks out after losing guys like like Chase Young, like we talked about. Montez Sweat missed a lot of time. They lost a lot of important guys on that defense. I think coming back this year, they've got that third place schedule again. They've got, I believe, the easiest schedule in the NFL this year looking forward. If you get that Carson Wentz that Indianapolis had last year, that's a major upgrade to your quarterback position from what the team had last year. I think you're looking at, an 11-win team, a team that's firmly in that third or fourth seed of the playoffs. That's a team that they're going to win the division if he plays like that. I don't think, like, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts would have to take a major step forward, or Dallas's defense would have to continue their massive turnover luck to be able to maintain wins like that. And so it'll be really, really interesting to see. But if Washington gets good Carson Wentz and the defense plays like it did 2 years ago, that's one of the better, more complete team. That's probably the most complete team in the division.
In the division. And when we say that Carson Wentz, we mean weeks 1 through 17. Because
Yeah,
we'll even take the left-handed interception against the Texans. We'll take that. We just don't want, what's the
exactly.
NFC equivalent of what he did? Going to Atlanta and throwing up 11 points to go into the playoffs. Like that. That's not what we want. But I do see, like, if like, I've never thought Carson Wentz was a bad quarterback. I thought he tries to do too much. I
Yep,
thought
sure.
sometimes it could be a detriment to his team. But
Play some hero
overall, in a
ball.
vacuum, if you put last season in a vacuum, so many teams in the NFL would take
Take
that
that season, 100%.
Would 100% take that.
And
Speaking
Washington,
go
with
ahead.
that detriment, the playing that hero ball, that trying to do too much. Taylor Heineke did that all the time last year. That was like kind of what Taylor Heineke built his reputation on against Tampa, right? That didn't waver at all last year. The only problem is Taylor Heineke's got a fraction of the physical talent that Carson Wentz does.
Right.
So you're not, bringing in Carson Wentz, and our old quarterback was at least taking care of the football consistently and wasn't making those, we already had all of those bad plays that are coming with Carson Wentz. We just didn't have any of those elite good plays that he can provide.
True. And if you look at the tape, right, the Carson Wentz's most heroic plays, a lot of them are on Washington.
Yeah, a hell of a lot of them are on Washington.
There's so many. The one he gets out of the big
Breaks to like
scrum.
4-person sack. Yeah, everyone
Yeah,
knows.
the on the run throw to Miles Sanders in the back of the end zone, which is still one of the
corner.
craziest stories I've seen in a long time. Like, I wonder how much of that you can see, and then when a team is willing to trade it, be like, hell, I've watched that quarterback,
right in front of my eyes,
make incredible plays against my team. I'm not giving up on him. And think about who's the head coach. A guy who's known to not give up on a quarterback probably far after he should have.
Has a fault.
Like Ron Rivera held on to Cam Newton just out of respect for him. And the entire world, even Cam Newton fans like me, were telling Ron, like, hey, dude, like, Cam's done. You got to let him go. So if there's anyone to give a second chance to a quarterback, I think it's going to be Ron Rivera. So, we'll see what he does with that. But as I was going to move on, speaking of quarterbacks that teams should take, what's up with the Baltimore Ravens, man? Not paying Lamar Jackson. That's just an easy, abstract question to you, Matt. Your vision. Why haven't they paid that brother in Baltimore?
The Lamar slander stays going crazy, bro. That's all I know is you would think
it's MVP, right? He wanted MVP.
An MVP, multiple time playoff, quarterback, has literally been in the playoffs every single year of his career.
I
any
don't know
dude with
what's
that
going on.
production averages like 34 passing touchdowns a season, like 10 or less interceptions. Bro is a
And 1,000 yards
superstar,
rushing too.
right?
And 1,000 yards rushing too.
Certified superstar, averaging
Mhm.
like 12 wins a season. There's elite quarterbacks get paid. He's an elite quarterback. I can't imagine Baltimore not keeping him long term, right? Like that was, and to be honest, that was kind of the going into last season. That was kind of the murmur is like Baltimore doesn't know if they can win it all with Lamar Jackson. Well, you barely won it with Joe Flacco one time, right? So
Mhm.
I can't imagine that Baltimore thinks they've got a better shot doing anything elsewhere, especially with the Browns going out and getting Deshaun Watson. So anticipating Deshaun Watson being in that division for 10 years, and Joe Burrow, like you've
Joe
got to
Burrow is
stay
now in that division.
right.
Yeah,
You've got to stay competitive. You've got to, and Lamar Jackson to me might still be the best quarterback in that division, right? So Bro's gonna get paid, and if he doesn't get paid by Baltimore, they're gonna get a king's ransom for another team to pay him. But my guess is he'll probably play on 1 year on the tag. Um, and then he'll either sit out and get his contract, or he'll play it out and get his contract. But
and and
either way,
that's
he'll get his bag.
so you say either way he gets his contract,
Either way,
but
he gets his bag.
either way he gets his bag. But your vision for this season, for his contract situation for this season, are you putting that they're going to tag him? Because that's, to be honest, the more days that go by, and it seems like the Ravens may have made that decision. It's just
Yep,
really hard to break
exactly,
that news. It's really hard to say that.
exactly. How are you going to
So
tell
the
the public
you're not going to pay him right now. So the more is that your vision? Is that what you really see? Is that they use the franchise tag on him?
Yeah, I think the crystal ball is telling me that he's not going to be on a long term
God,
contract this year.
that's really tough. That's what. So when you look at obviously the bag that his peers got, Patrick Mahomes got it early. It was a no brainer. But if I look at really who I'm comparing him to is Josh Allen, another superstar quarterback. But tell me what Josh Allen has done in the NFL that Lamar Jackson hasn't done. Is get to an AFC championship game. He's gotten one round further in the playoffs. That's
And
it.
I think that's what it is. I I think it's just the fact that talking about like what if the Bills get that coin flip? Maybe they're the Super Bowl champions, right? So
That's
that's
true.
like
That's
that's a
true.
tough sell. My guess is he'll be a little bit under Allen. I would guess that he signs a deal closer to what Stafford and Dak signed, that 40 mil flat, like
Mhm.
6 year, 40 mil a year, probably like 65% guaranteed, 70% guaranteed. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Lamar play every game this year, especially now
I mean, it's got to prove it, right?
they made it really tough to sit out, but I'm it's going to be a really interesting, just because it's such a dangerous play style, despite him never really having a major injury or seeing major contact like that. It, if I was Lamar, like it's really concerning to not have that long term commitment invested in me, despite me putting my body on the line like that so consistently.
Right.
So I
And
do,
what is really unfortunate for him is the contract season was the injury season,
yeah,
but it wasn't just for him. The Baltimore Ravens were the most injury ridden team last year. They lose all three of their running backs before the season starts. I've never seen anything like that before in my life, that your top three on your depth chart literally go out before week one, all in training camp, all season ending injuries. Okay. Hollywood Brown is
in and
seeing
out,
ghosts
right?
out
Yeah,
there, has the worst year of his career. And then Lamar gets hit with the injury bug because everything around him is
and
sputtering. I'm
COVID,
like,
right? Like it's just a
how do you not take that into consideration? But the business side of it is so unfortunate that gets taken into consideration.
yeah,
And the injury goes against his narrative, right? Because he's the running quarterback. He's the guy who puts himself in harm's way. Even though you see Lamar, slide, get out of
yeah,
bounds more than the average running quarterback, the injury still is what
yeah,
allows the naysayers to be like, hey, see, we told you so. We told you that happened. How much did last season's injury bug affect his negotiations going
yeah.
forward?
I don't even know if it's just last season. To be honest, Lamar, ever since coming out of college, has had this, anti QB narrative. This guy
Tight
can't be
frame
success.
too,
Yeah,
small
right.
frame.
It's
Yeah,
always been like, oh, there's so many reasons this guy's not going to work out in the NFL, and then he wins an MVP, and oh, there's so many reasons he's not going to be successful in the playoffs, and then he wins a playoff game, and oh, he's never going to make the AFC
I don't
Championship.
get it.
Let's watch this game, right? And oh, you can't give him this huge contract. Well, watch somebody. Somebody's going to give it
Yeah.
to him, and they're going to get a massive return on investment because an elite young quarterback who's put you in position to win a Super Bowl every single year. Because the first thing you have to do to be in position to win a Super Bowl is to make the playoffs, and Lamar pretty much guarantees you that. If he's your starting quarterback going into a year, you feel good about your odds of making the playoffs that year. You feel great about it. And so that's how I see it. That's the logic to me. But I just, with all of the energy coming out of Baltimore the way it has, I wonder.
Surprises me. It surprises me because all you've done in that man's career so far is take a chance on him. You took a chance on him in the draft with the last pick in the first round. Took a chance on him when you gave him the starting spot and allowed him to take your team in the playoffs. Took a chance on him. And so what the last time to take a chance on him, last time to invest in him, is you're not going to do it now.
Like, this is where you hop out.
This is where you cop out. Like, you've done it all up until now. Mm-hmm. How many times has John Harbaugh looked at him and said, like, hey, you want to go for this on fourth down?
Yeah, like, let's do
and
this.
Lamar goes, yes, and they get it every single time. Like, you trust this man up until now. I'm having a tough time fathoming the whole thing because if you didn't believe in Lamar, like what
exactly.
Your actions have not been showing now. You believed in him up until now, man.
And I can't imagine Lamar is very happy with the team for it. Like, I can't imagine that this is just going to blow over real easy.
No, but he's a professional. I think his statement was not going to OTAs, but I think he loves football, wants to win too much, and knows there's so many naysayers out there that he hasn't proved everybody wrong yet.
Shut him up, going to MVP.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? You win MVP in your third season, and you don't prove anybody wrong yet. Like, just it nuts. But anyway, Matt V, thank you for stopping by and giving us the vision. Make sure y'all keep it locked on the Straight Facts YouTube channel because my guy Matt Valdovinos is going to be coming back, reoccurring, and giving us his vision, not only through off-season and preseason, but of course during the regular season. Shout out everybody on the Up On Game Network, LeVar Arrington, Plexico Burris, and TJ Hushmanzada, man. We appreciate what you guys do, and you guys keep it locked. We'll see you next time.